Hi, welcome to World Unknown. Today we are going to explain tips and facts about
Maryland.
Come on, let's get started.
Maryland is a small coastal state located in the northeast region of the United States bordering Washington, D.C., Virginia, Delaware, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. It also borders the Atlantic Ocean and the Chesapeake Bay to the east. What Maryland lacks in size, it makes up for in its diversity. From the people who live there to the landscape and topography of the state. Maryland is a state where kids and adults can frolic on the 4,431 miles of shoreline and visit the numerous attractions and points of interest in the bustling metropolitan city of Baltimore. Maryland was the seventh state in the United States of America. Maryland was granted statehood on April 28, 1788. The state capital of Maryland is Annapolis. The largest city in Maryland is Baltimore. The population of Maryland is 5,928,814. Source 2013 United States Census Bureau estimate. In terms of the size of Maryland, it is one of the smallest of the 50 states, 42nd biggest, but it is one of the most densely populated. Maryland ranks 19th in most populous state in the United States, source 2013. United States Census Bureau estimate. The state flower of Maryland is the Rudbeckia hirta, also known as the Black-Eyed Susan. Residents of Maryland are called Marylanders. The most popular nickname for this state is Inquat, Old Line State and Quat. Major bodies of water within this U.S. state include the Susquehanna River, Potomac River, Patapsco River and Patuxent River, as well as Pretty Boy Reservoir, Loch Raven Reservoir, Deep Creek Lake and Lake Oakland. Maryland, My Maryland, is the official state song. Maryland gets its name from Queen Henrietta Maria of England. Her husband, George Calvert, created the colony, but before the settlement could begin, he died and his son Cecilius continued on. Cecilius, who wanted to create safe place for Roman Catholics that were coming from England. Maryland is sometimes called America in miniature. It has a wide topography that ranges from gently rolling hills to pine groves, to sandy dunes, and marshlands. Near the Chesapeake Bay, Maryland is home to lakes, rivers, and the Atlantic Ocean. 400 types of birds, 90 species of mammals, 93 species of reptiles and amphibians, and hundreds of freshwater and marine fish inhabit the borders of Maryland. The Chesapeake Bay is the largest of more than 100 estuaries, a partially enclosed body of water where fresh water from rivers and streams mixes with salt water from the ocean, in the United States. It splits Maryland into two halves. Captain John Smith was one of the first Europeans to visit the bay. MD joined the Union during the Civil War, even though it was a slave state south of the Mason-Dixon line. Being a border state, it had major divisions in its support, even among family members. The state was a battleground where some of the most decisive battles of the war were fought. In Sharpsburg, Maryland, the Battle of Antietam was fought on September 17, 1862. The battle is considered as the bloodiest battle of the American Civil War because an estimated 23,000 soldiers were killed, wounded or missing after 12 hours of savage combat. According to some sources, it is also the 8th costliest land battle of the American Civil War. Maryland has a state crustacean. The blue crab was named the state crustacean. Crustacean comes from the Latin word crusta, which means shell, in 1989. The blue crab is commonly called the Maryland crab, even though a large amount of blue crabs are caught off the waters. The crabs are in peak season from April to November, and Marylanders are known to eat their crabs with Old Bay or Chesapeake Bay seasoning. Another Maryland nickname is the Old Line State. During the Revolutionary War, 400 American soldiers led by Colonel William Smallwood fought against 10,000 British soldiers in a 1776 battle. The Maryland Line was able to hold off the advancing British soldiers long enough for George Washington, leading the remaining American soldiers, to make their escape. Maryland's state song is controversial. Maryland, My Maryland was written by a Confederate sympathizer, although it wasn't adopted as the state song until 1939. The song is a 9-stanza poem that is sung to the tune of O Tannenbaum. In the song, President Abraham Lincoln is referred to as a tyrant and the Union troops as Northern scum. Numerous attempts have been made over the years to replace it, but as of now, the song remains and is still being sung by Maryland school children. The first successful passenger balloon flight in the United States took place in Baltimore on June 24, 1784. It is said that a 13-year-old boy from Baltimore embarked in this balloon since it was too small to carry its creator. Maryland's baseball team is named after a poem. The Baltimore Ravens are named after the famous poem, The Raven, by Edgar Allan Poe. Poe was from Baltimore and his house is now a historical landmark that is open for tours. Harriet Tubman was born into slavery in Maryland. Although born into slavery, Harriet Tubman rose above her traumatic past and became a historic leader, fighting against slavery. Part of her famous Underground Railroad can be toured in Maryland at the Harriet Tubman Underground Railroad Visitor Center. The journey lasts 125 miles starting in Cambridge to Goldsboro, passing through country roads to off-state highways and part of the Great Chesapeake Bay Loop. The chance of a Maryland white Christmas is about 12%. It's been since 2002 that the area experienced a white Christmas when rain turned into snow and accumulated 1 inch. MD has the narrowest width of any U.S. state, less than 2 miles in the Hancock area. The Great Baltimore Fire of 1904 lasted for 30 hours and resulted in standardized firefighting equipment. The fire destroyed 1,500 buildings and completely wiped out entire neighborhoods. Firefighters struggled to contain the blaze due to an issue with their hose couplings not matching up. The fire was the most destructive fire in the United States since the Great Chicago Fire of 1871. There is a town called Boring. Yes, it's named Boring, but the town is actually named after the first postmaster, David Boring. It's a very small village, containing 1 church, 1 post office, and about 40 houses. It's become a popular stop for visitors to take a break from the highway and have their picture taken on the front steps with the Boring Post office sign in view. Francis Key Scott, a Maryland lawyer, wrote the Star Spangled Banner in 1814. It became America's national anthem in 1931. The Francis Key Scott Bridge is a 1,200-foot long bridge that crosses the Patapsco River in Baltimore. It is the second longest continuous truss bridge in the nation. Helen Peters, a spiritual medium, coined the name Ouija, the Egyptian luck board, in 1890. A 7-Eleven convenience store in Baltimore displays a plaque, where the boarding house once stood, where Helen Peters first began using the Ouija board. Annapolis, MD, is home to the United States Naval Academy. The Naval Academy was founded in 1845 and has been training officers for the Marine Corps and Navy ever since. Visitors can explore the campus and take a guided tour to get an up-close look at what student life in the academy is really like. There are many gorgeous old buildings to see, from the main chapel to Bancroft Hall's Memorial Chapel. For those lucky enough to be there around lunchtime, the daily noon formation of 4,000 midshipmen can be observed as they form for roll call. Maryland holds the honors as the first state in the nation to designate a state exercise. Walking became the state exercise of Maryland on October 1, 2008. In 1828, construction began on the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad line, which connected the Mid-Atlantic with the Midwest, and the very first railroad station was built in 1830. In 1828, a German immigrant by the name of Francis Beeler founded the Beeler Umbrella Factory. It was the world's first umbrella factory. Baltimore is home to America's first dental college, established in 1840. The first book entirely devoted to dentistry was published in 1530. Did you know that the first dental X-ray was used in 1896? The first dental practitioner was Hesi-Ri, an Egyptian scribe. The first long-distance telegram was sent to Baltimore. Samuel F.B. Morse sent the words on the line from Washington, D.C. to Baltimore, a distance of around 40 miles, on a line built with the aid of a $40,000 grant from Congress. Morse's first message was, "What hath God wrought?" Matthew Alexander Henson, August 8, 1866 to March 9, 1955, an African-American explorer, is best known as the first man to reach the geographic North Pole. He, along with Robert Peary and 4 others, accomplished the remarkable feat in the 1909 expedition. Ben Carson, the lead neurosurgeon of a 70-member surgical team, was the first surgeon to separate twins conjoined at the head. The boundary, the Mason-Dixon line, also called the Mason and Dixon line or Masons and Dixons line, between Pennsylvania and Maryland divides the northern and southern states. The line also served as the boundary between the slave and free states before the Civil War. Maryland has the oldest continuously used Capitol building in the country. It was established in 1772 and has the distinction of being topped by the largest wooden dome in the United States, constructed without nails. From November 26, 1783, to August 13, 1784, Annapolis was the capital of the United States. Thurgood Marshall, born in Baltimore, Maryland, was the first African-American justice of the Supreme Court of the United States. He strived to protect the rights of all citizens. His legacy earned him the nickname, Mr. Civil Rights. The first colonist to Maryland arrived at St. Clement's Island aboard the Ark and Dove in 1634. St. Mary's City was founded by them. Maryland gifted approximately 70 square miles of land to the U.S. government for the purpose of creating federal district. Virginia also contributed some 30 square miles of its land for the said purpose. The white oak was the largest white oak tree in the United States and the state tree of Maryland from 1941 until its demise in 2002. At its end, the tree measured 31 feet 8 inches in circumference, was 96 feet tall and had an average crown spread of 119 feet. The main bole of the tree weighed over 61,000 pounds. During its earlier days as a colonial capital city, Annapolis was known as the Athens of America. Also, Annapolis is known as the sailing capital of the world. King William's School, opened in 1696, was the first school in the United States. It was in Baltimore in 1774 that the first post office system in the United States was inaugurated by William Goddard. The United States Naval Academy was founded on October 10, 1845 at Annapolis. In 1830, the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad Company built the first railroad station in Baltimore. During Revolutionary times, Rockville was known as Hungerford's Tavern, the name of its most familiar landmark. One of the first calls to freedom from British rule was heard at the tavern in 1774. The Basilica of the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary is considered a masterpiece and one of the finest 19th-century buildings in the world. The basilica is the first cathedral in the United States. Baltimore represents the first Roman Catholic diocese. Fort Meade near Laurel became a base because a train engineer delivering soldiers to Meade knew only one Meade, the one in Maryland. He was not aware of Fort Meade, Florida. The confusion happened so often a second base was built in Maryland in an attempt to avoid the confusion. King William's School opened in 1696. It was the first school in the United States. The first dental school in the United States opened at the University of Maryland. Babe Ruth, the Sultan of Swat, was born in Baltimore and attended St. Mary's Industrial School. Other Major League ballplayer besides the Babe, born in Maryland, include Cal Ripken Jr., Billy Ripken, Lefty Grove, Frank Home Run Baker, Harold Baines, Al Kaline, Denny Neagle, and Jimmy Fox. Tillman Island is home to the Skipjacks, the only commercial sailing fleet in North America. America's national anthem was written by Francis Scott Key, a Maryland lawyer. It is believed Key wrote the anthem on September 14, 1814, while watching the bombardment of Fort McHenry in Baltimore Harbor. Since May 30, 1949, the United States flag has flown continuously over the monument marking the site of Francis Scott Key's birthplace. The flag flies at Terra Rubra Farm, Carroll County, Kemar, Maryland, as mandated by a joint resolution of Congress. The National Aquarium is located in Baltimore's Inner Harbor. The 1,200-foot Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore is the second longest continuous truss bridge in the nation. The 4.03-mile William Preston Lane Memorial, the Bay Bridge, joins the western part of Maryland to the eastern shore and crosses the Chesapeake Bay. Annapolis is known as the sailing capital of the world. Located in the Chesapeake Bay, Smith Island is Maryland's only inhabited offshore island. The highest point in Maryland is 3,360 feet above sea level on Backbone Mountain in Garrett County. The absolute lowest point in Maryland is a depression, often called Bloody Point Hole, 174 feet below sea level. The area is located approximately 1 mile west-southwest of the southern tip of Kent Island in Queen Anne's County. The Maryland State House is the oldest state capitol still in continuous legislative use. Chincoteagues are famous ponies from Osateague Island. Dredging and tonging are methods for harvesting oysters. On June 24, 1784, in Baltimore, 13-year-old Edward Warren went airborne in the first successful manned balloon launch in the United States. Maryland. Forests cover approximately 2.7 million acres, or 43% of the state's land surface. Oak and hickory are the dominant hardwood or deciduous forest type, making up 60% of forested areas. Loblolly pine is the most prevalent softwood and is the predominant forest wood on the eastern shore. Constructed circa 1850, an acorn-shaped gazebo can be found in Acorn Park in Silver Spring. The park is all that remains of Francis Preston Blair's estate. On September 14, 1975, Elizabeth Ann Bailey Seton of Emmitsburg was canonized, becoming the first native-born American to be so honored. Saint Elizabeth Ann formed the religious community the Sisters of Charity. The National Institute of Standards and Technology gave Gaithersburg the designation Science Capital of the United States when the Bureau moved to the area in 1961. Samuel F. B. Morse reportedly received the first telegraph message in Bladensburg, in 1844, before his famous, "What hath God wrought" message between Baltimore and Washington. His telegraph wire had been strung along the railroad right-of-way. Ezra Cornell, founder of Cornell University, lived in Bladensburg and is said to have invented the telegraph pole. The town of Garrett Park declared the first nuclear-free zone in the United States in 1982, thus affirming a tradition of peacefulness that began back in 1898 when it became illegal to harm any tree or songbird within the town limits. Maryland was first to enact workmen's compensation laws in 1902. Friendship International Airport, now Baltimore, Washington International Airport, began operations on June 24, 1950. Channel 67 broadcast the state's first public television programs on October 5, 1969. Greenbelt was the first community in the United States built as a planned city. Greenbelt was an experiment in both the physical and social planning. The Concord Point Lighthouse in Havre de Grace is the oldest continuously operated lighthouse in the state of Maryland. Havre de Grace is known as the decoy capital of the world. The Methodist Church of America was formally organized in 1784 at Perry Hall. Mount Airy is unique because two counties, Carroll and Frederick, divided. Oxford, founded 1683, gained its prominence in colonial days by being mandated in 1694 by Maryland legislation as the first and only port of entry on the eastern shore. On the morning of August 10, 1813, residents of St. Michael's, having been forewarned of a British attack, hoisted lanterns to the masts of ships and in the tops of the trees. The height of light caused cannons to overshoot the town. This first known blackout was effective and only one house was struck and is now known as the Cannonball House. The town has been known as the town that fooled the British since this historic event. New Market is known as Maryland's antique capital. Swallow Falls State Park near Oakland showcases Muddy Creek Falls. At 63 feet it is the Largest waterfall in Maryland. Maryland gave up some of its land to form Washington, D.C. The Maryland Renaissance Festival is held from August and October in Crownsville, Maryland, as a prominent producer and processor of seafood and a national leader in the production of blue crabs and soft clams. The Thrasher Carriage Museum in Frostburg houses a collection of early 19th and 20th century horse-drawn conveyances, formal closed carriages, milk wagons, open sleighs, funeral wagons, dog carts, and President Roosevelt's inaugural carriage are among the approximately 50 vehicles featured. 16 of the 23 Maryland counties border on tidal water. The combined length of tidal shoreline, including islands, is 4,431 miles. The Ballman Truss Railroad Bridge in Savage is made of both cast iron and wrought iron. It is the only open railroad bridge of its type anywhere in the world. Clara Barton National Historic Site commemorates the life of Clara Barton, founder of the American Red Cross. The house in Glen Echo served as her home and headquarters for the American Red Cross and a warehouse for disaster relief supplies. Maryland has 47 operational state parks, including 7 parks with waterfront areas, covering 90,239 acres, 15 state-owned lakes and ponds open to public fishing, 9 state forests and portions of 15 state parks open to public hunting, 36 wildlife management areas, covering 88,348 acres, open to public hunting, 6 natural environment areas containing 7,676 acres. Annapolis was known as the Athens of America during the 17th century and once served as the capital of the United States. The Community Bridge Mural Project in Frederick transformed a plain concrete bridge into the stunning illusion of an old stone bridge. The entire structure was painted by hand by an artist and his assistants, using advanced trompe-l'oeil, deceive-the-eye techniques. Baltimore Inner Harbor. The Baltimore Inner Harbor is a central location for some of the most popular Maryland attractions. There are a variety of restaurants at the harbor. For entertainment, shows are offered year-round at indoor and outdoor venues. There are quite a few museums at the harbor, including the Aquarium, the Maryland Science Center, a Discovery Children's Museum, and a unique floating ship museum. 4 ships are permanently docked at the harbor, and they are called the historic ships. Visitors can board and explore the vessels. 1 ship is the only remaining sea vessel from the Civil War. In addition to the boats, there is a lighthouse dating back to 1856. For some fun additional on the water, visitors can book a boat cruise. There are different types of boats available, including kayaks, sailboats, and paddle boats. The Baltimore Water Taxi is also available to transport passengers to other Baltimore neighborhoods and offer beautiful views of the city and river. Deep Creek Lake area. Visiting Deep Creek Lake State Park is one of the best things to do in Maryland for people who like outdoor adventure. The park is open year-round for activities like fishing, boating, hunting, hiking, and camping. In the winter, visitors can go snowshoeing through the trails and ride snowmobiles on 6 miles of trails. In the summer, the lake is open for boating and swimming. The park is home to Maryland's largest artificial lake. Along the lake are 20 miles of trails for hiking and biking, over 100 campsites, and 2 beaches. Also in the park is the Youghiogheny Wild River Natural Environmental Area, a river where visitors can fish and raft. Chesapeake and Ohio Canal National Historical Park. The Chesapeake in Ohio Canal National Historical Park spans almost 20,000 acres, making it one of the Largest Maryland tourist attractions. The canal became a national monument in 1961, and it became a National Historical Park in 1971. There are 7 visitor centers throughout the park with more. History of the canal. The canal itself is 184.5 miles long, with a hiking and biking path called the towpath running parallel to it. For visitors looking to spend a night in the park, campsites are spread out along the trail, with one every 5 or so miles. There are also boat rides available for visitors to take. One of the rides is on a mule-drawn boat from the 1870s, and another is an electric boat from the 1920s. Ocean City Boardwalk, located on the east coast of Maryland, is the Ocean City Boardwalk. From amusement rides and shopping to restaurants and bars, the boardwalk has something everyone will enjoy. Along the boardwalk, there are street performers, food stands selling classic snacks like popcorn and ice cream, and a beautiful view of the Atlantic Ocean. The boardwalk spans over 3 miles and is open 24/7 all year round. There are hundreds of hotels and restaurants, so it is a great place to stay when you visit Maryland. One of the most popular features of the boardwalk is Trimper's Carousel. This merry-go-round was built in 1902 and still operates today, making it the oldest operating carousel in the United States. Six Flags America. Six Flags America is one of the most fun things to do in Maryland. There are fun rides and activities for kids and adults alike. Thrill seekers can find almost 60 rides between the roller coasters, rides for kids, and many others. Go on the Apocalypse with its unnerving drops and inversions, ride the Batwing coaster and enjoy the most menacing ride of your life. Within the park is a water park that guests can access with park admission. The water park has water rides, slides, lazy rivers, pools, and more. For younger children or less adventurous adults, live shows are happening all day throughout the park, as well as plenty of dining and shops. Chesapeake State Park. Chesapeake State Park is on Chesapeake Island bordering the Atlantic Ocean. It is one of the most beautiful, nature-filled vacation spots in Maryland. There are 2 miles of beaches in the park where guests can swim, surf, and fish. Sinapatuxent Bay borders the west side of the park, and the bay has an abundant amount of wildlife. There are clear areas in the water as well as coves for kayaking and canoeing. Campsites are available to reserve for overnight guests, and the sites are located close to the beach. Boat launches are available for a fee as well. The park is also home to some wild ponies that freely roam the island. Visitors will likely see some ponies during their visit but are not allowed to feed or interact with them. Gardens located in Maryland. Just north of Washington, D.C. is Brookside Gardens, free public gardens that span 50 acres and are among the most beautiful Maryland attractions. The gardens are a part of Wheaton Regional Park. There are over 20,000 plants and flowers, and there is a wide variety of gardens with different flowers and plants in each one. The aquatic garden has ponds with water-based plants. And the children's garden is interactive with education on Maryland's native plants and flowers. There are also 2 conservatories with tropical and seasonal plants. Trails wind through the gardens with benches and gazebos among them. There are special events at the gardens throughout the year, including a butterfly exhibit where hundreds of live butterflies surround visitors. Art exhibits throughout the gardens display art from local students, other countries, and more. Fort McHenry National Monument constructed in 1798, Fort McHenry is an old military Pentagon located in Baltimore, Maryland. The fort was crucial in saving Baltimore from being attacked by the British Navy during the War of 1812. Fort McHenry is widely known for being the Star-Spangled Banner's birthplace, the United States national anthem. Francis Scott Key wrote the song in 1814 after an attack by the British. His inspiration came from a U.S. flag surviving the attacks. At the park, visitors can learn more about the fort's history at the Visitors Center and then tour the historic Star Fort. Inside the Star Fort, visitors can explore different exhibits, watch short films, and participate in a flag ceremony. There are also seasonal events at the park, including war reenactments, musical performances, educational talks, and interactive games. Children can participate in the Junior Ranger program, where they complete activities throughout the park to earn a Junior Ranger badge. Baltimore and Ohio Railroad Museum. The Baltimore and Ohio Railroad Museum, more commonly known as the Bando Railroad Museum, has the most extensive collection of trains and railroad memorabilia in America. The museum is located in an old train station, the Mount Clair Station. The station is the oldest railroad station in the United States, dating back to 1829, and it is considered one of the American Railroad's birthplaces. One of the most popular attractions in the museum is the train rides. From April to December, visitors can ride along America's first mile of train tracks. The museum exhibits include locomotives, buildings, and other objects that date back to the beginning of the railroad. Strathmore Music Center. The Strathmore Music Center is a performance and education venue located in North Bethesda, Maryland. The shows at the center cover a wide variety of musical genres and dance performances. On weekdays, visitors can tour the center and admire the permanent and seasonal exhibits. These exhibits include collaborations with artists, museums, and curators to display an array of artistic pieces. Educational events are offered for people of all ages. There are interactive classes and experiences for children, such as art classes, tours, choirs, and orchestras. Adults can sign up for music lessons or professional development workshops. National Aquarium. One of the best places to visit in Maryland is the National Aquarium. The aquarium is located at the Inner Harbor in Baltimore, and there are over 20,000 animals at the aquarium, spanning 800 species. Guests can explore dozens of exhibits that resemble rainforests, deep oceans, rivers, and more. The aquarium has a 4D theater inside that shows immersive films about sea creatures' lives and different aquatic habitats. Visitors can get up close and personal with some of the animals in the aquarium's unique experiences. Experiences include learning about sharks while they swim inches away or a behind-the-scenes look at dolphin training. The Walters Art Museum, located in downtown Baltimore. The Walters Art Museum is one of the best free attractions in Maryland. The museum's collection contains over 36,000 pieces from all over the world. Father and son William and Henry Walters began collecting art in the late 19th century. When Henry passed, he donated over 22,000 pieces of art to a public gallery now known as the Walters Art Museum. Some art dates back over 7,000 years, while other works are from the current century. Visitors can take a 1-hour self-guided tour of the museum, which spans 2 buildings. There are many collections from around the world, including Asian art, Islamic art, and European art. Each collection includes paintings, drawings, sculptures, and a large variety of other items. Antietam National Battlefield, one of the most historically significant places in Maryland, is Antietam National Battlefield. The battlefield dates back to the Civil War and a battle that took place in 1862. On the site is a visitor center where guests can learn about the battle, the war, and the battlefield's history. There is also a replica of the church that stood on the battlefield during the war. The structure was severely damaged, but it is restored on the original foundation, and guests can explore the inside. The Antietam National Cemetery on site has over 47,000 bodies and remains from the Civil War. Many are unknown persons. In addition to these highlights, visitors can take a self-guided auto tour of the battlefield that includes 11 stops, beginning at the church. Park rangers are located throughout the battlefield giving educational talks, and there is a museum store as well. Swallow Falls State Park, one of the most beautiful places to see in Maryland, is Swallow Falls State Park. The highlight of the park is Muddy Creek Falls. The waterfall is a part of the Youghiogheny River and stands over 50 feet tall. Campsites are available for guests to reserve and enjoy the natural beauty of Maryland. Activities throughout the park include fishing along the river, hiking a trail through the woods, and admiring the historic trees. 300-foot-tall hemlock trees take up a majority of the forest. Whitewater rafting down the river is also an option for experienced rafters who can navigate the hazardous rapids and waterfalls. While visiting the park, guests may see native black bears wandering around. There are safety precautions taken and tips for guests so that any bear sightings are not dangerous. Blackwater National Wildlife Refuge. Blackwater National Wildlife Refuge is located on the east shore of Maryland and contains over 28,000 acres of wetlands, fields, and water. The refuge opened in 1933 as a bird sanctuary. There are now over 400 species of birds, reptiles, amphibians, and endangered plants at the refuge. The refuge also has the largest population of breeding bald eagles in the region. Visitors can participate in a variety of activities, including hunting for deer, turkey, and more in select areas. Fishing is allowed in most lakes, and there are cycling trails and walking paths for guests to use. The trails offer the opportunity to see the wildlife that lives in the park. Oriole Park at Camden Yards, one of the most popular attractions in Maryland for sports enthusiasts, is Oriole Park at Camden Yards. The baseball field is located in downtown Baltimore and is home to the Baltimore Orioles. The park opened for the 1992 Major League Baseball season. It cost over $100 million to build and can hold nearly 50,000 fans. The Orioles play their home games here from April to October. When watching a game, fans can visit team shops throughout the park and buy jerseys, baseballs, and other team merchandise. Food and drinks are sold everywhere inside the stadium. Classic baseball food is available like hot dogs, popcorn, and ice cream in addition to specialty sandwiches, nachos, crab cakes, and more. During baseball season, fans can take a tour of the facility. The tours include stops in the Orioles dugout, the press area, and other exclusive areas that fans do not normally experience. Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Live Casino and Hotel Maryland is one of the newest Maryland attractions. The casino was built in 2012 and includes nearly 4,000 slots and other electronic machines, almost 200 live table games, and over 50 poker tables. It is rated as one of the top casinos in the state. The adjacent hotel opened in 2018 and has over 300 rooms. The hotel is contemporary and is the perfect place to stay for casino guests and Maryland visitors alike. The spa and salon at the hotel offer guests massages, manicures, skin treatments, and more to enhance their stay. In addition to the casino and hotel, there is a concert venue that holds 4,000 guests for live entertainment. There are also 12 restaurants and bars for guests to enjoy. American Visionary Art Museum. The American Visionary Art Museum is one of the most unique Maryland tourist attractions. The museum highlights self-taught, intuitive artistry. The museum is located in Baltimore, and the United States Congress has designated it as the National Museum for Visionary Art. The museum is over 1 acre and has art exhibits and displays that are one of a kind. The art is created using all types of materials, and the museum is unlike any other. All the artists specialized in different kinds of art, so there is a lot of variety at the museum. The museum also holds fun events such as an annual kinetic sculpture race, special exhibitions from artists worldwide, and private events of all kinds. Port Discovery Children's Museum. One of the best attractions in Maryland for families is Port Discovery. This children's museum is located in Baltimore and has 80,000 square feet of exhibits spanning 3 floors. The interactive exhibits are great for babies, toddlers, and children up to age 10. The most popular exhibits include the Sky Climber, where children can climb and explore a 4-story high jungle gym. Also, the port is a life-sized cargo ship with educational areas about ships, sea navigation, and how boats are crucial in transporting goods across the world. Other areas include an indoor sports arena, a theater with plays, performances, and workshops. Port Discovery holds many events at the museum for kids and families as well. There is storytime with activities, music events, and more. NASA Goddard Space Flight Center. Visiting the NASA Goddard Space Flight Center is one of the most interesting things to do in Maryland. It was built in 1959 as NASA's first space flight center. Today, the center is the largest organization of spacecraft-focused scientists and engineers in the United States. The scientists there learn about the Earth, the solar system, and the universe using information from space. Guests can visit the center for free. Inside, there is an exhibit on the Hubble Space Telescope, which is currently orbiting the Earth. Other displays include more telescopes presently being made, a presentation that teaches how anyone can become a scientist, and a digital art and technology display about the sun. Large events are held at the center, including festivals, robot competitions, educational presentations, and entertainment.
If you liked this video, please hit the like button. If you want to see more videos, hit the subscribe button. And if you have something to say, please leave a comment. Thanks for watching this video.